and there's electricity coming from me to you. Here is the great question. That is a rifle which has fired 3 shots in 6 to 8 seconds. The last 2 shots within a second. It's using, according to the exhibits, a totally undamaged clip. So how is that clip jammed in the rifle? Monty Lutz was asked, and he started giving to the HSCA, it's all in the notes, I've got the whole thing there, explaining why clips remained hanging in a rifle. He never answered the question, how did the clip hang half out? Because if the clip is hanging half out, what does that mean? It means that the engaging clips have disengaged. It means the clip is no longer in touch with the magazine. So what is stopping the clip from leaving the rifle? It's not in touch with the magazine. So the one thing I can think of, that clip is caught up with the spring. And the only way a clip can be caught up in a spring is if that clip was put into that rifle when it was empty. In other words, that is a planted rifle. And this explains why the clip is the most undiscussed item of all. All Lieutenant Day said about clip was just 6 words in the whole of the Warren Commission. Will Fritz never even mentioned it. Now, the HSCA was faced with a challenge. Why did they wanted to know seriously about the clip. Why did they get a ballistics expert from Wisconsin to speculate on it? Why didn't they get somebody from the Dallas Crime Lab who actually extricated the clip to tell them how he did it and why it had to be done? Well, what's your answer to that? Because they never did that.
We don't know who it is, do we?
Well, they could have made inquiries, couldn't they? Try to make inquiries. They asked Lieutenant Day, who was still alive at the time. Somebody must know how that clip came from the rifle.
Well, they still can't show you the Walker bullet.
Pardon?
They still can't show you the Walker bullet, which was in their files. Supposedly.
Yeah. Well, they knew. Anyway, they made no effort. They got him to speculate. He was really speculating on why a clip got wouldn't disengage, you know, wouldn't leave the rifle. He never explained how he got half out. So it seems to me that you're adding these 3 things together. You've got the substituted, it appears to be a substitute. They're saying it's a Mauser and it's a Mannlicher. That could be a substitution. You've got the strange thing of the bolt being open. That looks as if somebody in haste put in a 4th round. And then you've got the jammed ammunition clip. And what it suggests to me is a possibility that they were led to believe it was originally the gun was originally going to be a Mauser. Then at the last minute it was changed to a Mannlicher. The communication was so very, very bad that the people who deposited the rifle first of all deposited a Mauser. Then the last minute they had to change it for a Mannlicher. And then wanted to take the first rifle they could to hand. They opened the bolt and put a live round in. They thought that was more convincing. And then they thought it must have an ammunition clip, because they confused it with the M1 Garand. They put in an ammunition clip very, very hastily, and it jammed. Because if you put in an ammunition clip, it tends to go down like that. But the bullets will stop it from going down, because it gets the magazine, and it straightens up like that. But if you put in an empty clip, it could jam very, very easily. So that seems to me, in itself, quite a good explanation. What makes it more convincing to me is the reluctance of anybody to discuss it. And the key thing to me is when, as I say, Robert Edgar said to Monty Lutz, to a casual observer, would the two guns look the same? The Dallas police were not casual observers. There was something very crooked in the way that question was put. The man who put that question knew far more. He wasn't just investigating, he knew what had happened. Everybody did. I mean, how could Robert Fraser stand there and say, well, of course the two guns could easily be confused. I mean, that's what he's telling the commission as well. He said, you know, the two guns have got bolts on the right side, they've got external magazines, they've got this, they've got that. He never said we turn the rifles over. I mean, that's like saying the Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor are really hard to tell the difference because they've both got legs, they've both got feet, they've both got hands, etc., etc. The difference was obvious. So why were they conceding that fact? And that's why it's their attitude towards it which makes me very, very suspicious indeed. And the fact that nobody in the Warren Commission ever mentioned that ammunition clip. Lieutenant Day was never asked how he extracted it and had to go to the crime lab to be extracted, and we didn't know that till 14 years later.
Alaric,
yes.
All this business with the clip,
Yeah.
Putting one into the barrel. If you think about it, the clip holds 5, doesn't it? 6.
Yes.
So if you were Oswald, why would you go with a half-empty clip
to
kill the president?
Nobody knows, even Bugliosi, with all the help he can get from everybody, doesn't know. But even more peculiar, why did Oswald take 4 bullets with him, put 1 in his pocket, just 3 in the clip?
Exactly. So if it's all set up, Oswald would have taken a full clip there.
Yes.
He's fired 3, that
Yes.
leaves 3 left.
Yes.
So you can see them thinking, well, let's put one in the chamber,
Yeah.
and let's try and force 2 bullets into the clip, maybe,
Yeah.
to show that actually that accounts for the full clip of the bullets. That is what I think is
Well, possibly
possible.
is. I'm putting it to people to give their own opinions. I don't know what the answer is. I've got some sort of idea, but I can be completely wrong. What I'm trying to say is these are important issues for people to deal with, as you are. And it's all I think it needs discussion. What's happened now? I think
It's just.
well, it doesn't matter anyway, because I've gone for the last 2 points.
Okay, right.
Right. Okay. Ronald Simpson, at the time of the Warren Commission, was the chief of the Infantry Weapons Evaluation Branch of the Ballistics Research Laboratory of the Department of the Army. At the time he gave evidence, he had been in that position for 4 years, and previous his appointment, he had worked at the Ballistics Laboratory for 9 years. In the course of his evidence, Simmons, referring to Oswald's rifle, mentioned the amount of effort required to open the bolt, and later in his testimony told the Commission the pressure to open the bolt was so great that we tended to move the rifle off the target. Equally bad, Robert Fraser, FBI gun expert, told the Commission that because of the defect in his telescopic sight, the rifle shot high and slightly to the right. The question is, could Oswald, now if he's firing on a moving target, especially from a distant height, it's not like firing a stationary target where you simply get the rifle, like you see this on a lot of the videos on YouTube. People get the rifle lined up and they've got a fixed target and they just go like that, bang, bang, like that. If you're shooting at a moving target, you've got to change your aim every time because you've got to shoot ahead of the target, and that requires judgment. And that requires plenty of experience. So the question is, could Oswald, having fired 3 shots, 2 hits in 8 seconds at the most, using a rifle with possibly a damaged loading system, faulty ammunition clip, something wrong somewhere, in addition a rifle which had to be re-shouldered between shots, and which when it did fire, did so high and slightly to the right. Does any of that make sense? And here is another question. If you're a conspiracist, you've got to ask yourself, why is it the conspirators, if Oswald didn't do the shooting and he was framed, and they planted the rifle. Why did they plant such an inefficient rifle? Why did they plant one with a faulty telescopic sight? Why did they plant one with a damaged clip system? Why did they leave one with a stiff bolt? And that's a difficult question to answer. But it could be answered if you assumed there was this substitution. They were suddenly taken by total surprise. They thought they'd found a Mauser. They had suddenly to substitute a Mannlicher, and literally had to use the first Mannlicher rifle they came across. I don't think it was a well-planned assassination from that point of view. I think it was very incompetent in many ways. The cleverness of the assassination was in its cover-up. Now, just one last thing. It comes from Will Fritz. I've told Stuart this. Oswald, as you all know, defected to Russia as a private person. He assassinated Kennedy as a private person. So officially, all that was known of him was his military record. And he considered so strongly, even by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, long before the autopsy, to be the sole assassin, that he could be, as under United States procedure at that time, he could be dealt with by the local police. And so Will Fritz was supposed to interrogate Oswald. He did so allegedly for 12 hours. And Washington wanted to know, well, all about who was this chap Oswald. That's the impression we were given. They tried to find out who the hell was Oswald. And there's Will Fritz questioning Oswald to find out for Washington what sort of person Oswald was. When during his testimony, one of his testimonies, Will Fritz was asked, what do you think was Oswald's motivation? Will Fritz made a most extraordinary reply. He seemed to have lost his temper. He said, well, why don't you go and ask them in Washington?
Really?
Well, that was an absolutely explosive answer. Why don't you go and ask them in Washington? Don't ask me in Washington. But Washington said, we know nothing about it. You're supposed to find out who was Oswald. He's saying, after 12 hours of interrogation, I know less about Oswald than they do in Washington. So I think Washington are connected with a lot of this. Anyway, I hope he's kept you awake and give me stuff. What I've got here, these are your information sheets. It's going to be 25,000 words in great detail all about this. If you would like to, could you pass these along? Be good. Right.
Thanks very much, Alaric.
Thank you.
That Alaric definitely has a propensity for trousers coming down. I remember last year we had his trousers falling down in the supermarket, and this year we have a clown with his trousers. Good, excellent. So we've got a break now, folks. We're slightly in front of time, so if we come back here at about 5 past, I know Bart's got a lot to say to us, so we'll reassemble at 5 past back in here. Coffee should be outside.